Hello people of YouTube. I'm going to do a quick review today of some of the night vision stuff that I have. I've recently become somewhat of a reluctant expert at because I keep buying stuff and deciding that I don't like it. Now, when I first started, I started with this. It's the Nite-site Viper Artec. At the time, for me, this was wonderful because it was it was a screen, so it's like a bit of a video game feel to it. However, it's a bit too, looking back now, it is a little bit too encumbersome and a lot of faffing about to get it to work. This is the camera add-on. This is the connection pipe to between the scope and the camera battery, and you've got your IR and screen here. Wonderful, it works well until it doesn't. This has stopped recording now, it doesn't record anymore, and I've tried all sorts with it, but it still works. I then moved on from that. I purchased it was on a Pulsar 177. I think there's some videos on my YouTube channel of me using that rifle. It's a fantastic rifle, never missed anything, as you'd expect from Daystate. And then I went on and bought this Delta Wolf. It's it was claimed to be the most advanced, still is claimed to be the most advanced air rifle out there. So with it, I thought I'll upgrade my kit. So the first thing I went for was the Pod 008 Pro LRF, which I really didn't get on with. It didn't have the functionality of the ATN where it can readjust the reticle. It didn't hold zero very well, and worst of all, I went out on a cold night, drove an hour to this permission, got out of the car, got all set up, got ready to go, and the rangefinder stopped working. It was a cold night, so it didn't stop me shooting, but it was very annoying. I was trying to show my friend, and first thing I could show him about my new £900 or £800 purchase was it doesn't work in the cold. So it went back to a company down south, it got fixed, got back to me, and I sold it straight away. However, I do know there are guys out there that absolutely swear by the Pod 008, they love it, and it's working for them. For me, it didn't work, and the support process was a bit slow, and the guys were really busy, etc., etc. So then I sold that, as I said, and bought the X-Sight 4K Pro with the ABL unit. This has been, it wasn't good to start with because it came out, it had the wrong firmware on it, it wouldn't update, it wouldn't keep the date, it wouldn't keep zero. So I'm thinking this got to be a better way of doing it. So I contacted ATN. Their customer service, on the other hand, as opposed to Pod, they're excellent. There's a girl there called Sophie. She took ownership of the problem straight away. I sent her the scope and they fixed it. It's come back and it's been working flawlessly since then. I'm still having issues with some of the zero and some of the ranges, but it is all down to me and my preferences rather than the scope itself. And then I wanted to get something that was less technical because this Delta Wolf can run out of charge, and it needs charging if it's been sat to one side for a while. So does the scope also. Although it's a lot better than the rifle, it kind of seems to keep a lot better charge and works for longer. It's still something, if you leave it, I don't know, in the summer season, which I don't really do a lot of shooting and should do some in the winter, then you find that it's empty and you have to charge up. So I wanted something grab and go, so I went and bought the Vixen. Fantastic rifle, really well made, very, very pleased with it. It is really nice. And I watched a review about, a scope to go with it, so I thought I'll get a scope with an add-on and I have a bunch of these batteries I can replace on site and then be done with it. Now, before I move on, let's go back to the ATN. This is the ATN standard IR torch. It's okay, it's not bad, but it's just, yeah, I didn't like it, and where it sat at the bottom of the rifle, it was catching stuff. So I went and bought this Tracer IR torch. It's fantastic. It works really well for me. I really like it, and it's much lighter and much more nimble. It sits at the side of the rifle there. So going back to the first choice to go on my Hawk scope, which is tried and tested, it's a Hawk Sidewinder, was to buy a 007 from Pod. Now I should have listened to my gut feeling about Pod. I never really liked their products, and this is no different. I don't like it. It's not for me. This bit here is not right. Can't really push my eye through. I have to manipulate the menu. Menu's not very clear. The optics could do with improvement. Adjusting to the reticle is sometimes can be an issue, and then to do the parallax as well, it can be a bit of a faff, and manipulating the menu to put it into night mode, etc. It's just, yeah, not for me. I used it, didn't like it, and it's already sold. That's one thing about Pod though, people love them, so and I think because of that, because of some of the reviews, in quote marks, on YouTube, people like these. But I myself, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't really care about what Pod thinks of my review, or what ATN or any of these manufacturers think of my review. I paid for my gear, and I earn the right to say whatever I like about it. So you can be assured of when I tell you something, it is based on my experience. Don't want you to go and buy anything. I'm not selling anything. I don't make my living off YouTube, so it really doesn't matter to me. And I thought that would then put me in a unique position to tell you what others might be reluctant to tell you, because they're living dependent on it. They're kind of they have a vested interest in selling some of the gear, especially when it comes to this thing here, which we'll get to in a second. So yeah, I now have ordered something called ScopeMate. You won't believe the price I paid for it. It's so cheap. And it has a screen much smaller than this. It all comes in all at one go, in one unit, and I will review it when it arrives. And this Hawk now is got this, which this is from Pod. It's just not right. I don't like it. It's a personal thing. I find the products to be they're improving, and they're going in the right direction, but I think, and that goes for all of them, there should be another generation coming out soon, because they're just not there yet. The ATN stuff is fantastic for long range and firearm stuff, but for sub 12 ratting at short range, it can be a bit of a nightmare trying to get the kind of under and overhold, etc. And same, that goes for the Delta Wolf rifle. The rail, in my opinion, is too high, and it sits too high, too away from the barrel. So again, it changes the first and last zero. Same with the Vixen, it's sitting slightly higher than I would like it. And I've compared them with my Air Arms old rifle from 2009. I bought this brand new from Blackpool Air Rifles, and other than one service, it's had one service in all that time, in almost 13 years. It is flawless. It's a demon of a rifle. Daystate needs no introduction, and Vixen, jury's out on that one, but so far it has been performing brilliantly. Now, if we go to this thing, look, the upshot is, if you haven't got a lot of money to spend, maybe you should buy this. I say that reluctantly, because if you can afford £220, I think you can wait a month or two and buy yourself a Hawk Sidewinder, or one of the kind of Hawk scopes around £400, or you can probably pick up one on various forums for around 300, or sometimes you can even get them for £250 or cheaper. And that is like night and day. These are well made, so that's a good thing. They have, they're light, and they're short. So for that, they're good. And this is not staying on. I'm sick of it. But I'm not impressed, because then when you zoom in, it gets dark. and it is not, the clarity is not quite there. It promises the world and it delivers a mediocre performance for a mediocre price. Either buy a very cheap scope and that'll do the job for you, or wait until you can buy the entry-level scopes, which is I think around, brand new, around £400, but you can pick them up much cheaper second hand, and providing they've not had, you know, a harsh life, they should work absolutely fine. And then especially at sub 12 PCP rifles where there's no recoil or anything like this, they are fantastic. So yeah, I am not impressed one little bit by the Vector optics. It's trying to create a niche for itself, sitting at around £200, £220 new, and this has already been sold. I've already sold this to the same friend who bought the PARD unit to go on the back of it. And this brings me neatly on to the last couple of things. They are the bag. This bag from, you can pick this up from Amazon for around £60. They are fantastic. They take 2 rifles, lots of pockets. I take all my gear in there, and also a bit of advice for anybody who wants to do nighttime shooting. Don't rely on IR. It can get very boring unless you're in a very busy farm. If you want to change the game, and if you really want to not get bored waiting, freezing, for, you know, cold, waiting for rats to show up on your IR, get one of these. Any thermal, you know, this is the one I bought because this is one I could afford at the time. I've looked now, they're around £800 to £900. You can pick them up for £700 second hand. A fantastic piece of kit. A thermal scope is a must for anybody who goes out shooting at night. It changes the game. It stops you from having long periods of doing nothing, trying to find a rat through your IR. This quick scan, you can find exactly where they are with this. So just a quick recap, stay away from this Vector thing, it is rubbish. PARD I personally don't like. This is the 007S, the new one. I don't like it, and this is a personal thing. The optics are exactly the same as the previous generation, the 007 V, I think, or A, or whatever it's called, and they're both not very good. ATN, I've got great hopes for, because I think the next time they come up with the next generation stuff, it will be expensive when it starts, but then it'll get cheaper and cheaper, and I think they're almost there now. So the next generation is just going to knock it out of the park. Okay, this gun stand lost a lot of quality. It's by MTC or MCM. Did I just say MTC? No, MTM or MCM. I'm not really quite sure. No quality there. It used to be a really quality piece of kit. It's not. It's a horrible, cheap plastic thing that is very unstable, and this thing keeps coming off. This just, every time it gets a little warm, it comes off. Anyway, that concludes this quick and honest review. If you guys got any questions about any of the gear I'm using, check out the other videos. I use some of these rifles in the field shooting rats. And if you've got any remarks or questions or any information for us or any criticism, please leave a comment. Thank you for watching this video, and apologies for my somewhat long-winded review. There was a lot of stuff here trying to get through. And please like and subscribe. Thank you, guys.